Professor Day walked back and forth in the small waiting area outside the academy boardroom. His 4 green tentacles moved nervously, twisting around each other like snakes. The doors would open soon. He had to make them understand the seriousness of what had happened. The large golden doors finally swung open. Professor Day took a deep breath and entered the circular chamber where the 7 board members waited. They sat behind a curved table made of rare blue wood. The room felt cold and formal. Headmaster Sora sat in the center. Unlike the others, Sora was not made of flesh. Instead, her crystalline body caught the light from the ceiling and broke it into beautiful patterns that shifted with her moods. Right now, those patterns showed concern. Professor Day, Headmaster Sora's voice rang like small bells. "You called this emergency meeting. Please explain why." Day moved to the center of the room. His skin changed from its normal green to a worried yellow color. "Respected board members, I come before you because of a serious incident in my History of Peace class yesterday." The board members leaned forward slightly. Student Taiho, our newest human exchange student, was asked to share about conflict resolution from Earth history. Day's tentacles twisted tighter. The student chose to explain something called the Cold War and a concept humans call mutually assured destruction. One of the board members, Professor June, a tall being covered in soft blue fur, made a small gasping sound. "The human weapons theory that was discussed in class?" "Yes," Day continued. Student Taiho explained it quite casually. How their nation-states pointed world-ending weapons at each other for decades. How they believed that the fear of total destruction would prevent anyone from attacking first. The room fell silent. Even the air filters seemed to quiet down. When Taiho finished speaking, Dai said, his voice dropping lower, "Too Floraxian." Students collapsed immediately. Their empathic centers simply couldn't process the information. The medical team was called. Headmaster Sora's light patterns turned a deep, concerned blue. "And the student's condition now?" Day's tentacles dropped sadly. "One has recovered but refuses to return to class. The other..." He paused. "The other remains in medical care. Dr. Min says the student's mind has built walls around itself. He might never fully recover." The boardroom filled with shocked murmurs. "This isn't the first incident," Day continued when the noise settled. "Last month, human student Suho casually mentioned something called strategic bombing from their Second World War. Before that, human Jiwoo described ancient siege tactics that left 3 students unable to eat for days. Professor Kang, whose species looked like walking tree trunks, spoke up. "But the humans don't seem to understand what they've done wrong. Each time they appear confused by the reactions." "Exactly," Dai said. "That's what makes this so difficult. To humans, these are just historical facts. They discuss the most horrible strategies of war with the same tone we might use to discuss different types of space travel. It's just normal to them." Headmaster Sora's crystal form dimmed slightly. "What do you propose, Professor Day?" "I believe we need a new policy." Day straightened his teaching robes. "Any human student discussing historical topics must be accompanied by a certified war counselor." "A war counselor?" asked Professor Lee, whose round body floated slightly above her chair. "We haven't needed those since the conflict of burning stars." "The counselors would serve 2 purposes," Day explained. "First, they would help other students process any disturbing concepts humans might share. Second, they would guide the humans to understand why their historical perspectives cause such distress." The board members looked at each other. Several nodded slowly. "It's not that humans are violent beings," Day said quickly. "In fact, most are quite peaceful. It's their casual relationship with the concept of violence that causes problems. They accept it as a part of their history in a way most species find deeply troubling." Headmaster Sora's crystal body pulsed thoughtfully. After a moment, she spoke. "Let us vote on Professor Day's proposal, all in favor of requiring war counselors for human students during historical discussions." All 7 light panels on the table lit up green. "Then it is decided," Sora announced. "Beginning tomorrow, no human will be allowed in history class without a supervised war counselor present. Professor Day, please inform the human students of this new requirement." As Day left the boardroom, he felt relieved but worried. The humans would not be happy about this new rule, but the safety of all students had to come first. Some kinds of knowledge needed proper emotional support to process, and human history, it seemed, was filled with exactly that kind of knowledge. Jinwoo pulled at the collar of his dark blue academy uniform. The material felt too tight around his neck. The long silver buttons down the front sparkled in the bright hallway lights. He was late for his first class and still couldn't find room B307. The other students in the hallway whispered as he passed. Some had 6 arms, others had scales. One looked like a walking plant with flowers growing from its head. All of them stared at him. Jinwoo tried to ignore their looks. "It's another human," a small green alien whispered to its friend. "I heard what happened in Professor Day's class last week," the friend whispered back. "The human made 2 students sick just by talking." Jinwoo walked faster. He wasn't a monster. He didn't make anyone sick. He just wanted to study at the best. School in the galaxy. His test scores had been in the top 1%. He belonged here. The moving sidewalk carried him past more classroom doors. None of them was B307. Jinwoo checked his tablet again. The map was confusing with all its twists and turns. "Excuse me," a small purple alien with big eyes said, stopping in front of him. "Are you lost? I could help." "Thanks, but I'm fine," Jinwoo said, stepping around the alien. He didn't need help. He could find his own way. 3 more hallways and 2 wrong turns later, Jinwoo finally found B307. The door was already closed. He was 15 minutes late on his first day. Taking a deep breath, he pressed his hand to the door panel. It slid open with a soft hiss. 25 pairs of alien eyes turned to look at him. The teacher, who had long tentacles instead of arms, stopped mid-sentence. "I'm sorry I'm late," Jinwoo said. "I got lost." "Student Jinwoo," the teacher said. "We were just about to start without you. Please take a seat at the back." Jinwoo walked to the empty desk at the back of the room. The students closest to the desk moved their chairs slightly away from him. "As I was saying," the teacher continued, "today we will be discussing—" "Excuse me," a voice called from the doorway. "Student Jinwoo?" Jinwoo looked up. Standing in the doorway was the tallest, strangest alien he had ever seen. It looked like a giant insect standing on 2 legs. Its body was thin and green like a praying mantis from Earth, but it stood nearly 7 feet tall. Its eyes were huge and rainbow-colored, reflecting the light in 1,000 different patterns. 2 long antennae moved slowly on top of its head. "Yes," Jinwoo said. "That's me." "I need to speak with you outside," the mantis-like alien said. Its voice was surprisingly gentle and smooth. Jinwoo stood up, feeling everyone watching him again. Great. First day and already in trouble. He followed the tall alien out into the hallway. "I am Counselor Yoon," the alien said once the door closed behind them. "I have been assigned as your war counselor." "My what?" Jinwoo asked. "Your war counselor," Yoon repeated. "I will attend all your history classes with you and help provide context for your unique perspective." Jinwoo crossed his arms. "I don't need a babysitter. I can handle my classes on my own." Yoon's antennae twitched slightly. "It's not for your protection," Yoon replied quietly. "It's for everyone else's. Your species views conflict differently." "That's ridiculous," Jinwoo said, his voice rising. "We're not some violent monsters. We just see things differently." A small blue alien walking past overheard Jinwoo and quickly moved to the other side of the hallway, eyes wide with fear. "No one said you were monsters," Yoon said. The mantis-like alien's mandibles clicked softly as it spoke. "But your perspective on history has proven disruptive." "Disruptive how?" Jinwoo demanded. "Last week, one of your fellow humans casually mentioned your Cold War strategy of mutually assured destruction in Professor Day's class. 2 students suffered severe empathic shock. 1 is still in the medical center." Jinwoo blinked in surprise. "Just from talking about history? But that's just what happened." "To you, yes," Yoon said. "But many species in the Academy evolved specifically to avoid conflict at all costs. The very concept of pointing planet-destroying weapons at each other as a peacekeeping strategy is so alien to them that it causes actual physical harm." Jinwoo leaned against the wall, trying to process this. "So what, I can't talk about human history at all?" You can, Yoon said, but I will be there to help provide context and support for the other students, to help them understand that what seems normal to you might be deeply disturbing to them. Jinwoo stared at the floor. He had worked so hard to get accepted to the academy. Now he couldn't even speak freely in class. This isn't fair. Think of it this way, Yoon said gently. If a species evolved underwater and casually discussed the pleasure of drowning, wouldn't that disturb you? Or if a species that ate its young spoke about it as a normal cultural practice? That's different, Jinwoo muttered, though he wasn't entirely sure how. All I ask is that you try to understand, Yoon said. The Academy values human perspectives. Your species has a unique view of history that can be valuable, but it must be presented in a way that doesn't cause harm. Jinwoo looked up at the tall mantis being. Its rainbow eyes seemed kind, not judgmental. Fine, so you just sit in my class and what? Stop me if I say something too scary? I help provide context. I help the other students process information. That might be disturbing to them. And yes, sometimes I might ask you to rephrase things, but my goal is not to silence you. It's to help everyone learn from each other. A bell sound echoed through the hallway. Class had started. We should return, Yoon said. Professor Min is very strict about tardiness. As they walked back to the classroom door, Jinwoo asked, So what's your story? How did you end up as a war counselor? Yoon's antennae moved thoughtfully. My species was once very warlike long ago. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We had to learn peace the hard way. That gives me a unique perspective. I can understand both paths. For the first time since arriving at the academy, Jinwoo felt a little less alone. Maybe having someone who understood, both sides wouldn't be so bad after all. Ready? Yoon asked at the door. Jinwoo nodded. Ready. They walked into the classroom together, the human and his war counselor, ready to face whatever challenges came next. Professor Yuna's classroom was unlike any room Jinwoo had seen on Earth. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. Small plants grew from pots built into each student desk. The ceiling showed moving stars and planets. 20 different alien species sat at desks shaped to fit their unique bodies. Professor Yuna herself had no solid form. She looked like a large blob of clear jelly with swirling colors inside. When she spoke, the colors pulsed brightly. Today we discuss peaceful resolution of territorial disputes, Professor Yuna announced, her body rippling with bright yellow patterns that showed her excitement. The Galactic Peace Council has established 5 primary methods for resolving conflicts without violence. Counselor Yoon sat in a special tall chair next to Jinwoo. The mantis-like war counselor had explained that he would be there for all history classes. Jinwoo still felt embarrassed about needing a babysitter, but he tried to focus on the lesson. Professor Yuna showed images of different alien species signing agreements. The Zolarian Compromise of 4782 is considered the model for peaceful resolution. 2 species shared a planet, but needed different resources. Rather than fight, they divided their year into seasons where each group had priority access. The alien students nodded and made notes. A small blue alien with 4 eyes raised all 3 of her hands. Yes, Student Nalia? Professor Yuna asked. The compromise succeeded because both species recognized that violence would harm everyone. This shows the universal principle that communication prevents conflict. Excellent observation, Professor Yuna said, turning a pleased pink color. Jinwoo raised his hand. He had studied Earth history extensively before coming to the academy. He knew about different approaches to conflict. Yes, Student Jinwoo? Professor Yuna's colors darkened slightly. But what about deterrence theory? Jinwoo asked. Earth history shows that sometimes projecting strength prevents conflict altogether. Like during our Cold War period, when major powers avoided direct war because they feared the consequences. The classroom temperature literally dropped several degrees. Students shifted in their seats, moving away from Jinwoo. One student, an amphibian with large yellow eyes, began secreting a thick, clear substance from its skin. Distress mucus, Yoon whispered to Jinwoo. You've upset him. A plant-like student folded its leaf arms protectively around itself. Another student with glass-like skin turned completely cloudy. Counselor Yoon stood up smoothly. His tall, mantis form commanded attention as he stepped forward. What student Jinwoo describes is a uniquely human perspective, Yoon explained calmly. Remember your cultural sensitivity training. Different species process conflict through different cultural lenses. Humans evolved on a planet with multiple competing predator species. Their history includes many periods of conflict, which shaped their approach to problem-solving. The classroom slowly warmed again. The amphibian student stopped producing mucus, though it still looked uncomfortable. "Thank you, Counselor Yoon," Professor Yuna said, her colors returning to normal. "Let us continue with the Tralaxian Peace Treaty, which established—" The lesson continued, but Jinwoo barely heard it. He felt confused and a little angry. He hadn't said anything wrong. Deterrence theory was just a fact of history. Why was everyone acting like he had suggested something horrible? After class, Counselor Yoon guided Jinwoo to a small garden area. Colorful plants grew in spirals up the walls. A small fountain made of glowing crystals produced gentle music as water flowed through it. "You seem upset," Yoon said, his rainbow eyes studying Jinwoo carefully. "I don't understand what I did wrong," Jinwoo said. "I just mentioned deterrence theory. It's basic history." "You casually discussed forcing opponents to back down through implied threats," Yoon explained quietly. 3 species in that room evolved, specifically to avoid confrontation at all costs. The Trallians, the plant students, come from a world where any conflict meant death. The Vosians, the glass beings, physically shatter under stress. "But I wasn't threatening anyone," Jinwoo protested. "No, but the very concept that threats could be used as a tool seemed deeply disturbing to them," Yoon said. "It would be like someone casually suggesting eating babies might solve hunger problems." Jinwoo winced at the comparison. "That's not fair?" "To you it isn't," Yoon agreed. "But that's why I'm here. Not to stop you from speaking, but to help provide context that makes communication possible between very different ways of thinking." Jinwoo sat on a bench shaped like a large leaf. "So I'm supposed to never mention Earth's real history?" "No," Yoon said, sitting beside him. "But perhaps we can find ways to introduce these concepts more gradually. And remember, you're also here to learn their perspectives. Maybe there are approaches to peace that humans haven't fully explored because of our history." Jinwoo thought about this. "I never considered that deterrence might seem horrible to others. On Earth, it just seemed practical. And that," Yoon said with a gentle click of his mandibles, "is exactly why cultural exchange is so valuable. You're already learning." Jinwoo looked up at the Academy's arched ceiling, where stars from 1,000 worlds glowed. Perhaps there was more to learn here than he had imagined. He had come to study alien history, but maybe he needed to understand his own history through alien eyes first. The alarms made a horrible sound that hurt Jinwoo's ears. Red lights flashed in every hallway of the Academy. Students ran in panic, some falling as the gravity suddenly changed, making them float for a moment before slamming them back to the floor. "What's happening?" Jinwoo asked, holding onto a wall. Rail as the gravity shifted again. Counselor Yoon's tall mantis form bent down to help a small blue alien who had fallen. "The gravity systems have been hacked. This is not a drill." Academy security guards with shiny silver uniforms rushed past. Them. Their 4-armed captain stopped briefly. "All students must return to their quarters immediately," he ordered. "What's going on?" Jinwoo asked again. The captain hesitated, then said, "A group called the Void Fangs has taken control of the station's main systems. They're threatening to turn off life support if their demands aren't met." Before Jinwoo could ask more questions, Yoon's communicator made a soft beeping sound. The war counselor looked at the screen with surprise. "We've been summoned to the emergency council," Yoon said. "Headmaster Sora wants us there." "Us? Why me?" Jinwoo asked. "I don't know," Yoon admitted, "but we must hurry." They made their way through the twisting hallways of the Academy. The gravity continued to shift unpredictably. Sometimes they walked normally. Sometimes they had to pull themselves along the walls when gravity became too weak, and sometimes they crawled against crushing weight when it became too strong. Finally, they reached the council chamber. 7 senior Academy officials sat around a round table. Headmaster Sora's crystal body flashed with worried patterns of light. Her usual calm blue glow had turned to anxious red and orange pulses. "Thank you for coming," Sora said when she saw them. "We have a crisis." "The Void Fangs," Jinwoo said. "We heard." Professor Day, whose green tentacles moved nervously, spoke up. "They've taken control of our life support and gravity systems. They're threatening to turn off the air recyclers if we don't give them what they want." "What do they want?" Jinwoo asked. Headmaster Sora's lights dimmed. "They want the forbidden technology from Vault 7, phase shift generators that can tear holes in space-time. The Galactic Council banned this technology 1,000 years ago after it destroyed 3-star systems." "We've tried negotiating," Sora continued, her light patterns becoming more frantic. "They refuse to listen. They say they'll start reducing oxygen levels in 1 hour if we don't bring the technology to Docking Bay 12. Jinwoo listened carefully to everything. The council members looked desperate. None of them seemed to have any ideas left. "Have you considered a false surrender?" Jinwoo suggested after a moment of thought. The council stared at him in horror. The room went completely silent. "Not deception," gasped an elderly councillor with long white fur. "That would be dishonorable." "Lying would only make things worse," said another. "We must find a truthful solution." Councillor Yoon stepped forward quickly. "Perhaps what student Jinwoo means—" "No," Jinwoo interrupted, standing up straight. "I mean deception. Military deception. Pretend to give them what they want, but it's actually a trap." The council members looked at each other with shocked expressions. One of them actually covered all 4 of her eyes, as if she couldn't bear to even look at Jinwoo. "Young human," Headmaster Sora said slowly. "Deception is considered deeply immoral. In most galactic cultures, it breaks the trust that holds our society together. But sometimes," Jinwoo argued, "when facing people who are already breaking the rules, you need to use different tactics. On Earth, military deception has saved countless lives. It's not about being dishonorable, it's about protecting the innocent. Without bloodshed." The council fell into heated debate. Some members were deeply offended by the suggestion. Others reluctantly admitted they had run out of honorable options. "What exactly do you propose?" Headmaster Sora finally asked. Jinwoo explained his plan simply. "Tell them you'll give them the technology. Prepare a fake version that looks real but doesn't work. When they come to collect it, have security teams ready to capture them." "But that's... Professor Day couldn't even finish his sentence. "It's practical," Jinwoo said firmly, "and it will save lives." After tense deliberation that lasted nearly 40 minutes, the council finally agreed to try Jinwoo's plan. But there was a problem. "None of us can do this," Headmaster Sora admitted. "We cannot bring ourselves to speak untruths, even to save lives. Our biology makes it nearly impossible." "I'll do it," Jinwoo volunteered. "And I will provide psychological support to those who must witness these morally complex tactics," Councillor Yoon added. "It will be difficult for many to process." 2 hours later, the crisis was over. The Void Fangs had been captured when they came to collect the fake technology. No lives were lost. The Academy's systems returned to normal. In the aftermath, many students and staff looked at Jinwoo differently. Some with new respect, others with uncertainty or even fear. The human who had suggested doing something that many species considered unthinkable, telling deliberate untruths to achieve a goal, had saved them all. "You did well," Councillor Yoon told Jinwoo as they walked back to the dormitories. "But I think you now understand better why I am needed as your war counselor." Jinwoo nodded. "I didn't realize how different our basic thinking could be. To me, a small deception to save lives seems obviously good. But to them, to many species, truth is not just a virtue but a biological necessity," Yoon explained. "Your human flexibility is both frightening and valuable. The Academy just learned that today." The big council room looked very different today. Instead of worried red lights flashing from Headmaster Sora's crystal body, her form glowed with calm blue patterns. The 7 council members sat at their curved table, but their faces showed respect instead of fear when they looked at Jinwoo. 3 days had passed since the crisis. The Academy had returned to normal, but everyone was talking about what happened. How the human student and his war counselor had saved them all with a strange plan that involved telling untruths. "Student Jinwoo, please step forward," Headmaster Sora said. Jinwoo walked to the center of the room. Counselor Yoon stood beside him, tall and straight. Jinwoo felt nervous. Was he in trouble for suggesting deception? "We have reviewed your actions." During the crisis, Headmaster Sora announced, her crystal body pulsing with gentle light, "Your strategic thinking saved many lives. Without your help, we might have lost students and teachers to the Void Fangs." Jinwoo felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Headmaster. I only did what I thought was necessary." However, Professor Day added, his green tentacles moving slowly, "Your methods remain deeply troubling to many. The casual way humans consider deception, psychological manipulation, and strategic thinking about conflict. Many students and teachers have expressed concern," another council member said. "Some are afraid of what else humans might consider acceptable." Jinwoo took a deep breath. "It's not that we enjoy conflict or deception," he explained. "Humans don't like fighting or lying. We've just had to face these things honestly throughout our history. We learned that sometimes, when dealing with those who would hurt innocent people, different approaches are needed." The council members looked at each other. One of them, an elderly member with long white fur, spoke up. "But how can a species that accepts such things also create art and music? How can you write poems about love while also developing strategies for war?" Jinwoo thought about Earth history, about warriors who wrote beautiful poetry, about doctors who saved lives during terrible wars, about the complicated mix of good and bad that made up human experience. "Because we're both," Jinwoo said simply. "We contain many different things at once. That's what makes us human." Counselor Yoon stepped forward. His rainbow eyes reflected the room's light. "This is precisely why war counselors exist," Yoon said. "Not because humans are dangerous, but because their historical honesty about conflict forces other species to confront uncomfortable truths." "What truths?" asked Professor Day. "That the universe is not always kind," Yoon replied. "That sometimes protection requires difficult choices. Most species in the galaxy evolved in safer environments where cooperation was the only survival strategy. Humans had to balance cooperation with defense. They had to look at the darkness without flinching." The room fell silent. Headmaster Sora's light pattern shifted through deep blues and purples as she thought. "I believe," she finally said, "that there is wisdom in what Counselor Yoon says. Perhaps instead of fearing human perspectives, we should learn from them, carefully, and with proper support." The council talked quietly among themselves. Jinwoo waited, watching their alien faces and trying to read their expressions. Finally, Headmaster Sora spoke again. "The Academy Board has made a decision. We will enact a new regulation. Human historical perspectives will be taught, but always with psychological support staff present. So I can talk about Earth history in class now?" Jinwoo asked. "Yes," Sora said, "but with care and with Counselor Yoon present. Not because humans are violent, but because you refuse to pretend that violence has never been necessary. That honesty is both disturbing and valuable." As Jinwoo and Yoon left the council chamber, Jinwoo felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. He was glad to be accepted, but sorry that his very way of thinking could cause others pain. "So I'm not a monster after all?" he asked Yoon as they walked through the academy's wide hallway. "No," replied Yoon, his mandibles clicking softly. "Just the galaxy's most uncomfortable mirror." Jinwoo stopped walking. "What do you mean?" "You show other species what they don't want to see in themselves," Yoon explained. "The potential for conflict exists in all thinking beings. Most species hide it away, pretend it isn't there. Humans look at it directly. That's frightening, but also brave." A group of alien students passed by. One of them, the amphibian who had secreted distress mucus in class, actually waved at Jinwoo. "They're starting to see you differently," Yoon said. "Not as a threat, but as someone who faced something scary to protect others." Jinwoo smiled. Maybe being a mirror wasn't so bad. Maybe by showing others the full truth of what it meant to be alive in a complex universe, both the beauty and the difficulty, humans could help the galaxy grow. "Ready for history class tomorrow?" Yoon asked. "Yes," Jinwoo said. "I think I have a lot to learn, and maybe something to teach too." Together, the human and his war counselor walked toward the Academy's garden, where students of 100 different species were gathering to share stories under the artificial stars.